Hello everybody. How are you today? Today I wanted to share with you guys a couple of different applications because I know some people really struggle with knowing which application to use on their skin and what's best for their skin. And I always tell people it really just depends on your preference, and it also depends on your skin type, right? So not every application is perfect for everybody. So the three ways that I like to apply, you'll see me apply them differently, is I like to use this fluffier brush, I like to use a painter's brush, and I like to use a blending bud, okay? So when I use a blending bud, I always like to wet my blending bud because a wet blending bud is going to apply so much easier. I also like it because it's latex free. It's just going to let my foundation just kind of bounce all around. So when I apply with this blending bud, I like to just do kind of a rotation, and I like to just go in and I just kind of pat it in, blend it in. You don't have to use tons, especially with this foundation. I have contour right in here, so all I'm doing is applying the foundation in areas that I want to have a little bit more coverage. Now, if I wanted to have a really thick coverage, I could take this brush here, or I can do it lighter, and I can lightly just kind of apply it, okay? You don't have to use tons. I like this one because I can use this brush for blush, I can use this brush for bronzer, I can use this brush for foundation. I just like the application that it gives me. And then it just glides, right? So I like this brush for this reason too. Now, I love suggesting this little painter's brush because it also gives a really great application, okay? Especially if you're looking for for concealers and that kind of thing. So I'm gonna show you how I use this for concealers. So I like to take it, and I like to take my concealer with it. I like how I can do it with that. Now you can do that with the blender bud too, but I like to do it with this brush too, to kind of show you how it's like multi-useful, if that's a good word to say, multi-useful. So then I can just kind of go in and I can just kind of blend that in. I can take some and I can apply it right in here, and then right in here, and then I'm going to show you guys with the foundation. So you can do a lot or a little of coverage, okay? So I just take the brush and I just slightly, now you don't have to use tons, okay? And then I just like to go in, and do you see how that's a thicker application than what I've shown you guys? So this is going to give you a pretty thick application. Do you see that? How it just kind of went on there. I barely touched it. So it can be deceiving. Like these brushes seem deceiving, like there's nothing on them, but there is stuff on it, okay? So I like this application, especially for mature skin, because it's going to glide right on top of that foundation or that skin. And then you can just take a blending bud and you can just blot it out. I'll kind of show you on the backs of your hands the different ways that you can coverage wise. So I just put it in there, and so you can really get a lot of coverage, because again, it's deceiving. You think you're putting tons on, right? Versus if you're just lightly tapping it in there, you're just going to get that light coverage. See how it's a little bit lighter? Just lightly applying it on there, versus this is a little bit thicker. So you have to be very careful with these types of brushes. They're great, but you have to be very careful. So those are the three different ways that I like to apply my foundation depending upon my mood. I also have this big old honker that I like. This is like if I'm like totally out of time, but I love this brush too. But the three that I stick with is my painter's brush, especially if I want more coverage and I don't want to use as much foundation. And then I like my blending bud, and I love this little brush. This is like an all over brush, a powder brush, concealer brush. It's a powder brush. It's a blush brush, a bronzer blush, a foundation brush. For me, it does everything. So I'm just curious which you prefer. Do you prefer a bud? Do you prefer a painter's brush? Or do you prefer just like a brush like this? Which do you prefer? So, like I said, I prefer these three, and I'm just curious which that you prefer. Sorry, I thought my phone died. I paused for a second because I thought my phone had just died. So thank you guys for joining me today. I'm so excited. There's so many new things that are coming out. So make sure that you're keeping an eye on that. So, okay, guys, I'll see you later.